In today's video, I'm going to walk you through my current first draft going into FPL for next season. Game week 1 is less than 2 weeks away. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I feel like I could do this video again in about 10 days just before game week 1, and I feel like my squad could look very different depending on transfers, moves. Obviously, still got a few more preseason games to watch, and I'm looking at who's playing in preseason and what role, sort of guessing who's going to start the opening games. Now, for me, I'm going to show you my squad with Haaland, and then I'm going to show you my squad with Salah. I've got 2 squads, but I'm going with just Haaland for the first few weeks, and then I'm likely going to sub Salah in. I just feel like I can't afford both if I want to build a good squad, and I think Man City have easier opening games. But I have a bit of a strategy, and I've always had a strategy for FPL. Now, I'm not going to pretend I'm some FPL expert. I'm the type of person that forgets to sub people out when there's double game weeks or someone's not playing, and I've sometimes forgotten about my team. But I do watch a lot of football. I do quite well in my leagues when I pay attention. Um, and I've been watching a lot of the pre-season games. So I'm going to show you my sort of game plan. Now, obviously, I always do a wild card in game week 4 or 5. And the reason behind that is there's a lot of players that will come in and they're signed really late August, and then they're not going to play until September. You know, a lot of players will miss the first 3 or 4 games of the Premier League season. Like if Isak goes down to deadline day, then likely Newcastle aren't going to play him the first 3 games. Then Liverpool might want him on the door, and they might not start him the 4th game of the season. They might wait for the 5th game to bring him in. So there's players like Isak where I'm not going to bring them in right now because I don't think they're going to start the first game of the season, but I'm definitely going to bring Isak in later on, regardless if he's at Newcastle or Liverpool. So my plan is to make a few transfers, obviously game week 4 or 5. So there's players that I'm looking at that haven't evolved in Frimpong. I think Frimpong could be really good because right now at Liverpool he's almost like a winger when he's playing, and he's a defender. And I think the goal and assist numbers he could get is good. But it's interesting to see if he's going to start. Is he Arne Slot going to start Szoboszlai at right back and continue this box thing? Is he going to start Frimpong at right back and play him high and wide? Is Bradley going to start at right back? So that's why I haven't gone with Frimpong. Aït-Nouri is fantastic. He looked good in the Club World Cup, but again, Guardiola is in his position. I think going to see which one sort of starts between those two. Gabriel is injured at the moment. He might be back for the first game of the season, but he's not 100% fit. I mean, he's starting to come back now, but will he be fit to play 90 minutes first game of the season? I've not gone with Mbeumo or Cunha, despite them being good last season in FPL. And I actually went with them early last year in FPL when they were cheap. But Bruno Fernandes is on penalties for Man United, so that will be less goal contributions for them. And I just want to see how they settle in at Manchester United, because I feel like Manchester United, my team, we make everyone rubbish. Other players I might watch is like Simmons if he joins Chelsea. Eze I like, but due to transfer speculation, I'm going to wait. Cherky, I'm just going to wait and see how many minutes he gets, like Aït-Nouri, before going with him. Pep's very hard to predict as a manager. Solanke might not be fit enough for the first game, and Isak transfer speculation. So they're players I like, but I'm just avoiding them for now over sort of transfer speculation, concerns over minutes, or just wanting to see how those players settle in. So yeah, let's go into goal. Now, I'm a bit weird, but I always pick 2 4.5 million keepers. That's just always been the way I've worked. Just because, like, that way, if I feel like, Brentford have a good fixture against, I don't know, a Burnley who aren't going to score a lot of goals, I can put Kelleher in. But then maybe the next week Brentford play Man City and Brighton play Burnley, then I can put Verbruggen in. For me, I just normally go to 4.5 million keepers, which, to be honest, I could have an extra 0.5 million in the bank and go for a £5 million keeper and a 4 million one as backup. I could honestly do that, but I don't know. Goalkeeper is a position I don't really care about spending too much money on. I actually do have 0.5 million in the bank in my current team, so I could even get a 5.5 million keeper and a 4. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing at goal. I just pick which one I think will do better. And we're going to go into defenders. So I always go with a back 3. I've gone with my main 3. Now, when I wildcard, I'll probably put Gabriel in for Saliba. But I gone with Saliba early on because I think that Saliba will just get more minutes. To be honest, I think Kivior could start the first game of the season. So look, I just haven't put Gabriel in yet. He might be fit for the first game of the season. Is he fit for 90? I'm not sure. So I put Saliba in there. Manchester United didn't score many goals last season as well, so we could get a clean sheet opening game. Although Man United look a lot better in pre-season with 4-1 win over Bournemouth. I've gone with a doggy. A doggy is a player I've got my stocks in for next season. Thomas Frank likes his fullbacks to play quite high. I think the doggy's going to get into very attacking areas But also, I think Tottenham are going to be a lot more defensively secure under Thomas Frank. They looked really good in the Arsenal game. They looked a lot more defensively compact. Palhinha coming in as well. I think Tottenham could have one of the best defensive records in the league next season. I think that's something Thomas Frank will do. So I think there could be clean sheets there. And then the other one is Patrick Dorgu. Again, this guy's going to basically be a winger next season for Manchester United. He's guaranteed to start pretty much every week. Ruben Amorim likes him. He's probably been Manchester United's best performer across pre-season. Got a goal and assist versus Bournemouth. Has been fantastic in United's pre-season games. But the thing about Dorgu is, what I've noticed about Man United in the last game of the season versus Villa, we did this, and in the pre-season games we've done this, is our wing-backs have actually been wingers for a change. I think last season our wing-backs acted as defenders. We played a back five, whereas United are looking like a back three where Dorgu's getting really far forward. Now, I'm not sure if he'd do that versus Arsenal because he'd have to mark Bukayo Saka, so maybe Dorgu's one of those that maybe bring him in later on. But I also think Onana got one of the most clean sheets in the Premier League last season, despite United being atrocious. United defensively didn't concede loads and loads of goals. It was just scoring goals, which was a problem as well. So we were more defensively secure under Amorim. Dorgu is definitely the player that I'm like, he could get some mad goal and assist next season. Him and Udogie, it's different. Do you know what? I just want it to be different. I'm not gonna lie. I see all the FPL experts and they all have these certain players. They all have these players in their team, and this player in their team, and that player in their team. I just don't go off who's the most popular or what the FPL experts are doing. I go off what I've seen in pre-season. Again, I'm not an FPL expert, but I go off what I see, and I don't know. Look, again, I'm not bringing him in for the Arsenal game against Saka, but I think Dorgu's going to have. I think he's going to go. I think he's going to be an FPL gem. So then my other two options are for depth, and again, I could have gone for two 4.5 million defenders because I do have 0.5 million in the bank, or I could have gone for a 5 million defender and had Tuanzebe there. I've just gone with Tuanzebe because Burnley had the best defensive record out of the promoted sides and all the clean sheets, and Burnley are quite defensive. So, and he's just ex-Man United. That's the whole reason for Tuanzebe. He's 4 million. I've gone with Konsa as my 4.5 million option. That could change. I did think about Van de Ven, but injury concerns. I did also think about Wan-Bissaka, De Kuyper, Euro as well. Euro is almost guaranteed minutes at United. He's just so good. He's so class. Ruben Amorim loves him. Wan-Bissaka's always a good shout. Gets more, better than he gets credit for going forward. Obviously, Brighton have brought a new guy in, and Van de Ven. But for right now, I've just gone with Konsa. I'll probably change him out. But Villa, at the back end of the season, were pretty good defensively. I think they've got quite a few clean sheets. They're going to be on my bench anyway. So let's go into midfield. So this is my team that I'm currently going with, which I will probably change a lot in the next 2 weeks. And I'm not going with Salah. I'm going with Haaland. I just don't think I can do Salah and Haaland without there being a significant drop-off. And again, I still have 0.5 million in the bank. So there's a player like Minter I could change to Kudus, who's 6.5 million. Kudus has looked very good in pre-season. So my plan is to do probably wildcard Salah in. I've gone with Florian Wirtz currently, but I might change that to Gakpo. I want a Liverpool player there, but I'm torn between Wirtz and Gakpo at the moment. Bruno Fernandes, 9 million, feels a bit pricey for a guy that I know is going to be playing deep for Man United next season. But the reason I've gone with Bruno is penalties, but also the fact that there's a new rule where I think if you get like 10 plus combined tackles, interceptions, clearances, Bruno Fernandes, I think, could have got if that thing was last season, I think Bruno Fernandes could have got 30 more points because Bruno Fernandes, I think, was second in the Premier League for ball recoveries last season, which is insane. So I also think of the fact that Bruno Fernandes could be picking up those 2 bonus points purely for that. I think the penalty. So again, I might sub Bruno out. I've looked at Kudus. I even thought Szoboszlai potentially with Slot looking to play almost Szoboszlai and Wirtz as 2 10s in this box midfield. He could be a little gem there. Ahmad's another one I like, but Ahmad's going to mostly play wing-back with Mbeumo coming in. But yeah, I might swap Saka for Palmer. I might bring Salah in for someone like Bruno and then move to a sort of cheaper midfielder. Gakpo potentially in for Wirtz. I've gone with Njai of Everton because Leeds don't have a great defence for first game of the season, but also Everton are bringing in some very good players. They ended the season very well under Moisey, and he takes penalties, and I think he could be a gem. And then I've gone with Minter. Minter's the one that might confuse everyone because Cherky 6.5 million, I could afford him. Ahmad 6.5 million, I could afford him. Kudus, I might bring Kudus in, to be honest. But Minter's been balling out in pre-season. So Minter got 2 goals today in pre-season. He's absolutely been balling it out for Brighton. Young player. I just feel like this is going to be a big season for him. Also, Minter has one of the best records in the league for non-penalty goals per 90 and non-penalty goal contributions per 90 expected threat. Good underlying numbers. So I just think for 6 million, it could be a little bit of a gem. It's a little bit like Dorg at 4.5, Minter at 6.0. I feel like players that maybe not many people would pick, but they look good in pre-season. They have good underlying numbers and they have got very high expected threat, which means potentially something could happen. I will mention the FPL code is this because I've got to mention that earlier. So yeah, I will probably put a link in the description. These are names I'm watching. I probably will bring Salah in. I think Salah's still going to be the highest point scorer, but I just don't think there's. I think there's a lot more good midfield options than striker options this year. Like Gakpo's now moved to a midfielder, which is annoying. So I've just gone with Haaland for the opening games, and then I'm probably going to wildcard Salah in. I've gone with Palmer potentially over Saka. Kudus I think could bring in. Ahmad. I'm going to see how he does at wing back. Obviously Gakpo. I might bring Gakpo in for Wirtz if I feel like it's less risky. But I feel like Florian Wirtz is going to get goals and assists. Szoboszlai potentially could be an underrated one. These ones are more, less goal and assist output players. But Szoboszlai is looking powerful. And he looks like he could be get high numbers because he's looking good in preseason. Elliot Anderson is purely based off the fact as like a depth option. So if I played 3 strikers and 4 midfielders, and I needed that 5th midfielder to just come in if someone didn't play. Someone like Elliot Anderson, because he could be getting the almost bonus 2 points every week for the amount of tackles and interceptions he makes. Bruno Guimaraes, again, would get a lot of bonus points, like Caicedo as well, for tackles and interceptions. But the difference with Bruno Guimaraes is, in the back end of the season for Newcastle, it was Tonali and Joelinton deeper, and Bruno Guimaraes played a bit as a 10. And Bruno Guimaraes got a lot of goals and assists the back end of the season. So they're my ones to watch. But yeah, going into attack, Muniz is the player that I'm putting on the bench currently, by the way. And I'm playing all of these midfielders with potentially Muniz on the bench. But I might swap between Muniz and Minter, depending on who the team is. But yeah, this is the current team I'm looking at. João Pedro, Club World Cup, looked great. Haaland, again, I might switch to Salah and ditch Haaland. But my thought process right now is Isak probably isn't going to start the first game of the Premier League season unless he signs a new deal at Newcastle. And even if he does sign a new deal at Newcastle, he's missed the whole pre-season tour. So my sort of mindset is wait to game week 4, and then I'm going to sub the likes of Isak and Salah in, personally. So I've gone with Haaland, Wolves away as well. I think he'll do well. João Pedro will do well. And the reason I've gone with Muniz is I think 5.5 million is a decent fee. I know there's Raul who plays a bit. But Muniz actually underlying numbers are really, really good. He's really good for non-penalty XG, one of the best strikers in the league. No player in the top 7 leagues actually had more XG per 100 touches than Muniz. He was first for non-penalty goals per 90 in the Premier League. He was first for most goals per 100 touches in the Premier League. His underlying numbers are quite ridiculously good, Muniz. So I thought about going for him, but when we're looking at non-penalty goals per 90, Muniz was above Haaland, Muniz was above Isak last season. So that's why I've gone with Rodrigo Muniz as my pick. Let me know your thoughts. Solanke, I think he's currently injured or got a knock or something. Gyökeres, I just want to see how he does, to be honest. Isak, again, I'm just going to wait until the transfer saga's over. And then Barry of Everton, I don't want to put him in now because I don't know if he'll be any good. But it could be a good signing. I think it could be a really good signing for Everton. I think Everton are going to have a good season. So this was my alternative team. If I was to bring Salah on, of course, Tuanzebe and Konza would be on the bench. And I would have Caicedo on the bench. I just put Caicedo in for the tackles and interceptions. So it would be Minter and Jai, Salah, Gakpo, João Pedro, Gyökeres, Isak. But I think that's something I might wildcard towards, probably bring Gabriel in for Saliba there. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking for FPL. Again, I'm not like an FPL expert because I normally forget halfway through the season to update it. But I do watch a lot of football. I've watched a lot of preseason games. And I did say that like Cunha and Mbeumo were going to have good seasons. This was going to have a good season beginning of last season, and they did very well in FPL. So it might be out. I don't know. Let me know what you're doing down below, and feel free to join my league. Thank you for watching.